Hello, Ivy here. This week's podcast looks at a selection of Sussex key dates in 2021 and 2022, focusing on the UK media practice of misinformation or disinformation about each one, with the intent to distract from actual newsworthy editorial that should be reported on. We have plenty to look forward to in 2022, with many key events in the calendar. Be prepared for the distraction tactics to go up a gear or two. UK royal reporters are currently having dry baths in the ashes that they claimed to wish for, i.e. the apparent popularity of the relics of UK monarchy. We know that they only eat when they insert the name of Harry or Meghan into their fake headlines, as they continue to scrape the barrel of UK royal activity in their effort to make fetch happen. At least one royal reporter was based in Montecito over the festive period, in the hope of acquiring Sussex news, no doubt. No news of whether or not shipwreck is still sailing the USA waters. It is beyond ironic that UK royal reporters, who are paid to write about the tax-funded royals and their projects in the UK and the Commonwealth, are focusing on trying to secure a support network in the USA, which is not a Commonwealth nation and which went to great lengths to remove themselves from UK interference. It is like a parody of how to find yet another way to spend UK tax funds on things which do not fall within the remit of UK monarchy. Could it be that they hope to share the spotlight with the couple that the British royal family and its media hounded out of the UK, and who continue to describe the Sussexes as irrelevant? Let's take a look and discuss a few key dates and give examples of royal reporter distraction stories against each one of those dates. Following the Sussex announcement on the 8th of January 2020 that they were stepping back from senior royal duties, Buckingham Palace released a statement in February 2021 confirming that decision by the couple. The royal family insisted on a 12-month review, even going as far as stating that Harry agreed to this during discussions. On the Sussexes website, it stated the following: while there is a precedent for other title members of the royal family to seek employment outside of the institution, for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, a 12-month review period has been put in place. That would suggest that it was not something that Sussexes wanted or needed, and their actions and business contracts secured during that 12-month review was a clear indication that the Sussexes were going ahead as planned. The Sussexes also purchased a new family home. Clearest indication yet to those with common sense that they were not returning to reside in the UK again. Lesson here: do not believe all that you read in tabloid press, not least because their priority is to be the public voice of the British royal family. So, despite the daily rhetoric in the tabloids about Harry wanting to return to his, in quotation marks, home, close quotation marks, it is a deliberate attempt to disregard the purchase of a property and refer to the UK favourite prince as wishing to return, at some point, to the UK. Note, in the ongoing fantasy tales in the tabloids, they spend most of their time writing very negative articles on the couple, and when anything appears about returning to the UK, the tabloids only refer to Harry, and rarely refer to his wife and children. Another key date in 21. March 2021. The Oprah interview with Meghan and Harry, where Harry joined in the second half. 1 week before the interview even aired, UK media began a series of articles in all of the newspapers reported as factual for an interview that had not yet taken place. And apart from a few seconds of footage from the interview, nothing else was revealed. Those short clips of footage began 2 days before the interview aired. We must not forget the 4 members of the carnival of so-called experts who were approached to give their thoughts on the interview as if they had viewed it already some weeks before, and to state their opinions and reactions to what was said. The team behind this stunt were making the point on how so-called experts are more than happy to give their opinions on the Sussexes, particularly Meghan, about an interview that they had not yet viewed, as if they had indeed viewed it, confirming that so many of these people who have suddenly become popular by TV networks to give their opinion on Meghan and Harry earn money from speaking in a disparaging way, much of which is their opinion and not fact, and in this particular case spouted complete fiction on some of their topics that they felt so strongly over. All of these people are still employed and called upon by networks in the UK and abroad, despite the embarrassing footage of their discussions on camera about the comments made by Meghan and Harry to Oprah, being splashed all over social media networks for days afterwards. Strangely enough, the tabloids did not run the story, and still use quotes from these individuals to the present day. As I said, this interview was announced 1 week before the actual interview aired on the 7th of March 2021 on CBS. UK media really came out in an all-out onslaught of the most disgusting headlines and articles, all based on what they anticipated would be included. Their actions over that week steadily became more sinister and accusatory, which was viewed by a global audience that was clearly becoming more invested in watching this interview based on the antics of UK media. UK tabloids are the best free marketing for any Sussex publication that they do not want people to view. I would describe their behaviour and the topics that were raised by UK tabloids with no evidence that these topics would be discussed in the interview was a classic case of projection. With each claim becoming more outlandish and extreme, they then went down the route of a subject which no doubt was done upon the instruction of the royal family, but which then implicated the monarchy with the high potential of a legal case developing. So, having produced a myriad of articles claiming bullying behaviour by Meghan with her staff, on top of the other salacious headlines that they had produced over the preceding 7 days, and sold papers on the back of those claims, along with inviting hatred and vile comments on social media as a result, about the couple, particularly Meghan, the interview itself revealed none of those claims. Some of the things that were said in the interview took the British royal family by surprise, and then, in an effort to prove that the Sussexes were mistaken or lying about those subjects, the senior royals went on an embarrassing crusade of denials in front of a prearranged camera and scenarios to state categorically that they were the opposite of those things stated in the interview, and other topics were not recollected as being discussed in the way represented within the family. For example, the questions asked more than one conversation about the likely shade of Archie's skin colour before he was born. It seemed to escape their attention that it was Harry who mentioned these conversations, including concerns about Archie's skin colour before he was born. Another example of when Harry was told that there was no money to pay Meghan for anything, and that perhaps she could return to acting to pay her expenses. Meghan stated in the interview how Royal Human Resources team refused her assistance when she asked for help as she was feeling suicidal. HR said she was not an employee of the British royal family, so they could not help her. So, on the one hand, Meghan was not an employee, so no HR assistance available apparently, and also not a member of the family either, because there was no financial provision made for her upon marriage to Harry, which is the practice for every new person entering into the royal family upon marriage. Certainly a senior royal position. They said much, much more, all of which would be challenged in any tribunal or court case. The British royal family are so used to putting whatever news slant they want out there via royal reporters, and have never been challenged before. They discovered very quickly Meghan has receipts for every conversation on this and other subjects, and an excellent legal team. For the first time, the monarchy had shouted from the mountaintops for the world to hear a claim that they believed would reduce Meghan, in particular her credibility, and discovered very quickly that they were on a hiding to nothing with their claim, and in fact would most definitely lose any case brought against Meghan moving forward. No doubt they wish they could turn back time, and to date the British royal family are still stumbling around trying to back away from this very public accusation. In March 2021, Harry secured his first paid position at Chief Impact Officer at BetterUp Incorporated. A small extract from one of the tabloids described it as in the following way. A tabloid response to Harry securing a paid role was this: "Just call me Harry. Prince has already been working for life coaching firm BetterUp for 2 months and insists on being called by his first name," reveals CEO who once gave a speech in a spacesuit and throws fancy dress parties where staff wear onesies. End of quote. All done to try and belittle the news of Harry getting employment. April 2021. The death and funeral of Prince Philip. Another extract from one of those articles. Prince Philip's death will become a healing moment for the royal family, according to one royal expert, who suggested that Harry will mend this rift with William when he returns to the UK for the funeral. Always using words that indicate it is for Harry to repair any damage to the family's reputation, etc. May 2021. The Me You Can't See documentary on Apple TV, created and co-produced by Harry and Oprah. 6 episodes, following the global debut of the groundbreaking documentary series The Me You Can't See, A Path Forward. Oprah Winfrey and Prince Harry reunited with advisors and participants for a thought-provoking, wide-ranging conversation about mental health and emotional well-being, and where we go from here. The tabloid reported in the following style. Prince Harry is reportedly set to drop more truth bombs in a deeply personal episode of his new mental health series with Oprah Winfrey. The Duke of Sussex, 36, has teamed up with the US chat show powerhouse for a documentary The Me You Can't See, which premieres on Friday. Again, spent months writing articles which were negative about Harry working with Oprah and the USA Network. There were disparaging phrases used to describe Oprah's career, and position in the media world. One member of the royal family claiming not to know who Oprah was. Sussex Squad reminded everyone that the member of the British royal family who made that statement had visited a school funded by Oprah, and there are several photos of the visit, with Oprah and the said royal and the girls from the school. The obvious efforts to downplay the series on mental health and the production team, and in particular Oprah herself, in order to try and make it look like Harry had just found someone off the street to co-produce this series, backfired spectacularly. And this has since been praised around the world as a teaching aid for years to come. In May 2021, we had the Vax Live Global Citizen event. Tabloid started off again with disparaging words to describe the event and the fact that Prince Harry was taking part, but spent all of their waking hours watching footage live and recordings afterwards and commenting about it. And obviously they could see how popular Prince Harry was with the audience. So, as a result of that, and this is also a pattern that has occurred on a few occasions since then, where things go well, concerning Harry or Meghan or both, the wording changes slightly and they bring them back into the royal fold, so to speak, as opposed to describing them like runaway slaves on other occasions. So, as one tabloid put it, a royal declaration. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has called for the COVID vaccine to be equally distributed across the world. The 36-year-old and his wife, Meghan Markle, offered hope that recovery from the pandemic will also help women who have been disproportionately affected by this pandemic. Women, and especially women of colour, have seen a generation of economic gain wiped out, the Duchess explained. It's amazing how the tone and the content and the use of titles and the full name of Meghan, as opposed to usually Markle, or worse, when they want to be inclusive with the couple and be linked with the royal family and vice versa. Anyway, we go on to June 2021, where Harry and Meghan welcomed their second child, Lilibet Diana. We had at least a week of absolutely disgusting coverage, reporting, interviews, panels of people dragged up from wherever they found them from to discuss why Lilibet was named Lilibet. That was a pet name for the Queen. How could they do it? How dare they? There was nothing positive said. But, as I said, after a week of that, this is what was put in one of the tabloids, and basically the same thing was repeated in all of the others. So on June the 9th, 2021, in responses to claims that emerged, a spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has confirmed that the couple were indeed given the Queen's blessing. End of quote. You would think that the royal reporters would have checked that from day one. I suspect that they probably did, but the fact that they had a week's coverage of writing nonsense and about how dare the couple name their child after the Queen when they're not part of the royal family, they've chosen to opt out, etc., etc. And then at the end of a week, when they've already sold their papers, achieved lots of engagement with a number of clicks from people wanting to read more about the controversy, they then admit, in fact, it was Harry and Meghan that came out and said the Queen had given her blessing. Also in June 2021, Meghan's book, The Bench, was released. I don't need to say much about that. We all know it was a huge success, again, despite what was being written in the UK, and one of the headlines from the UK tabloids kind of sums up their approach to anything to do with the Sussexes, but particularly Meghan. And it said, New York Times bestseller, but not even in the top 100 in the UK. Yeah, as if UK figures and stats are of any interest to anyone, even within the UK, but certainly even less outside of it. We all know being a New York Times bestseller means far more than being number one bestseller in the UK. Common sense. July 2021. The unveiling of Princess Diana's statue in Kensington Gardens, marking what would have been her 60th birthday on the 1st of July. The months and months of articles and nonsense written about this event, and the attempts to invite various celebrities, people that would attract coverage from media outside of the UK, as well as the UK itself, and really trying to drum up this event as something huge, more than it was. And also that it was going to be an occasion for, once again, Harry to heal the rift with William. One of the quotes from one of the tabloids said, "It was apparent that the brothers still needed to work on their relationship following the unveiling. People were hoping this was going to be the moment that the brothers reconciled." I don't know who those people were. I can't believe there were a high number of them. You can't do the things that members of the royal family, particularly William, did and continue to do against Harry and Meghan. And at the time, the court case was still ongoing, and William was helping provide evidence and working closely with the newspaper in particular in question that the court case was about. How did anyone with common sense assume that Harry was going to come along and be pally with any of the royal family, but particularly William? So it was a nonsense from the start. It was trying to drum up figures, trying to get more people interested. In the end, it was a bit of a damp squid. Yes, in terms of the statue unveiling, that was beautiful. Both William and Harry were there, did the unveiling. There was some kind of garden party somewhere. Majority of the celebs that were invited did not attend. They said they could not attend, including Elton John, which they were hoping he would, because of his connections with Diana. And Prince Harry didn't attend that garden party and left the country very, very quickly afterwards to return to his family in the USA. August 2021, Meghan's 40th birthday and launch of her 40/40 Mentorships Global Initiative. As one paper described it, to celebrate her 40th birthday, the Duchess of Sussex launched a new initiative, 40 by 40, via her charitable foundation, Archwell. Duchess Meghan, alongside Melissa McCarthy, shared her idea to help women re-entering the workplace after the coronavirus pandemic in a light comedy skit. The majority of each article that was written about Meghan's 40th birthday focused on the room where the footage was taken, where Meghan was filmed sitting at her desk, at her laptop. Focus was on trying to price the furniture that they could see, the furnishings that they could see, whether or not Guy the dog was on an expensive dog bed, was he happy, all sorts of nonsense. The clothing that Meghan wore, the cost of the clothing that she was wearing, Harry outside the window, playing skittles, doing sort of, amusing things that Harry does, and then finding fault with that, missing the whole point about the 40 by 40 mentorship scheme and the fact that it was focusing on helping others, not making the 40th birthday be just about Meghan. But the papers made it about her clothes and where they lived and the cost of what they had in that room. Kind of sums up the approach to tabloid reporting in the UK. September 2021. Harry and Meghan visit New York City. In the article that goes with this podcast, there are far more details and photos of people and places that they visited and met, and all of their names and correct titles. So just that they visited the 9/11 Memorial with New York Governor Kathy Hochul and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, and held meetings with the UN Deputy Secretary General Amina J. Mohammed and the US Ambassador to the UN Linda Thomas Greenfield. Sussexes also spent second morning of their New York trip in Harlem, where the Duchess read her children's book, The Bench, to second grade students. More detail in the article of places that they visited, people that they met, and photos to go with it. But this extract from one of the tabloids kind of sums up their feeling about that. They were critical about the tour before it even took place, even though they stayed up at all strange hours of UK time so that they could watch live and they could report straight away on it. For something that they weren't interested in, that was the official line. However, this is what they put in one of their reports after the 3-day had taken place. Harry and Meghan were vacuous in their 3-day royal tour of New York City. Meghan and Harry planning more fake royal tours in such places as Australia, as well as other parts of the USA. Both above statements claimed by royal experts in 2 of the tabloids. All the others stating similar disdain for what they are all describing as a royal tour. It wasn't a royal tour, it was never going to be a royal tour, and any business events that Harry and Meghan do in the future will also not be royal tours. In the same month, Harry and Meghan also spoke on stage during a Global Citizen Live event in New York on September the 25th, in fact. In November 2021, Meghan and Harry were at a special New York City event to honour veterans, ahead of Veterans Day in the US and Remembrance Day in the UK. And here we have UK tabloids again. This is how, a few of them, this is a summary of what was said. Lights, camera, action. Exclusive pictures reveal the camera-shy documentary crew that shadowed Meghan and Harry's every step to visit veterans in New York City and New Jersey. So, was it a royal event or a reality show? Answer, neither. Tabloids are just trying to influence the UK audience. These are the same royal reporters who gloated over Harry losing his positions with military in the UK, and were now making cheap digs at the couple for being embraced by USA military and for bringing along their own camera crew to film them during the event. Their real gripe is that no UK media personnel were invited to be there to film or take photos. The royal reporters have a whole royal family to film and take photos of, so there should be plenty to keep them busy. The British royal family and its media hounded their golden goose out of the country, and despite their continued efforts to discredit the Sussexes, the couple are thriving and going from strength to strength. You cannot bully and harass someone out of the country and then complain that your targets have no interest in rushing back to the nation that asked them to leave every single day, or to allow UK media access to their projects in their new permanent home. USA news organisations now have access to the Sussexes. The UK threw away the ball. Game over. The couple left, so they now need to deal with the consequences of their 5 years and ongoing campaign. December 2021. Daily Mail loses court case on copyright and privacy and pays out to Meghan. The Daily Mail never expected to find itself in this position 3 years down the line. This was all fun and games to them, trying to humiliate Meghan in the public eye by working with her father to publish one of Meghan's private letters to her father in an effort to paint Meghan in a particular light. The Daily Mail published extracts from the letter which gave the point of view they wanted, even going as far as excluding certain words from sentences, etc. The Mail did not expect Meghan to be so strong and prepared in terms of her defence, and with a formidable legal team. The British royal family went as far as allowing a senior member of the royal family to give permission for a senior aide who worked in Kensington Palace to provide information and to liaise with the Daily Mail. Just think, one member of the British royal family worked with a tabloid newspaper against another member of the same royal family. That tells you all right-thinking people need to know about the forces that Meghan and Harry were up against, which resulted in increased risk to their lives and increased death threats and the impact on their mental health. Royal reporters do not write about the news. They create news for people to digest and believe, and to form a preferred opinion by those who work in partnership with the royal reporters. This podcast is about misinformation and disinformation. So to be clear, the meaning of misinformation. Misinformation is incorrect or misleading information unintentionally presented as fact. The meaning of disinformation is disinformation is a subset of propaganda and is false information that is spread deliberately to deceive. The way I try and remember it is misinformation is incorrect or misleading. So misinformation, misleading. And I remember disinformation as being disinformation is false information spread to deceive. I just pick up the D in deceive and disinformation and the mis in misleading with misinformation. You will have your own ways, but that's the way that I differentiate the two. Let's have a look what's coming up in 2022 and the way the media will try to report it. Or at least when I say media, I'm referring to UK royal reporters. Look out for misinformation and disinformation with any activity that the Sussexes are involved in this year and beyond. Despite stating several times that royal reporters would not cover anything that Harry and Meghan do now that they have stepped back from senior royal duties and are no longer funded by UK taxpayers. The royal reporters write more about the Sussexes than all of the royal family combined every single day. UK media write about other royals now and then, and when they do, they always include Harry or Meghan's name in the headline, or an attached photo of them. It is the only way that they secure increased engagement by the readers than if they do not mention them at all, regardless of whether or not the topic contains any information or involvement of the Sussexes. It's all clickbait. The New York 3-day tour was described as a royal tour by the UK tabloids because it was clearly a huge success, despite all the negative press about it before it took place, and then which gave the royal reporters an excuse to complain that Harry and Meghan never mentioned the royal family once during those 3 days. To describe them as clowns is polite. For those who like to call themselves journalists, they are definitely not that. One of the topics that they have concerned themselves with recently, with Harry and Meghan, are related to tax returns, or rather the tax returns of the Archewell Foundation. Articles taking great delight on how little income has come into the foundation in its first year, and how they are clearly struggling, etc., etc. It's all lies. First of all, if the royal reporters have so much time on their hands, why do they not look into the accounts of the British royal family, who have been found wanting in regards to six-figure sums of money donated by powerful people, and which does not appear in the accounts of the charities in question? Not just one or two cases of this, by the way. This practice goes back years. And those who have donated have come away some months later with an honorary title of some kind. Not a word said about those examples, and they do involve senior royals, tax-funded royals. Yet the royal reporters prefer to go delving into tax returns of Harry and Meghan. They do seem to forget certain things, so let me remind them of a few points here. Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal life to become self-financing. It is their wish to become philanthropists and not have any of their activities funded by taxpayers. The Sussexes secured a number of major contracts in their first year of stepping back from royal duties, contracts which make them millionaires several times over, and security for their children. They have also purchased a home, which the royal reporters like to report on daily regarding how many bathrooms it has, etc. Clearly, simple things exercise their thoughts. Archewell Foundation is now set up and has an amount of funds shown in the accounts. The tabloid press are trying to give the impression that the Sussexes must be struggling as their foundation does not have large sums of money in its accounts yet, therefore helping the vulnerable will be difficult. First of all, Sussexes are millionaires in the first year of leaving the UK. All the money they have donated to date, significant amounts of money, have come from their earnings. It is no business of UK media or the royal family how they spend their money, including where they donate funds. If they never earn another penny, the family are set for life. So all these reports on the amounts held in the Archewell accounts is neither here nor there. It is the UK media trying to say that the Sussexes need to return to the UK and help the ailing royal family. The UK has got what they asked for, and if the remaining royal family members do not generate much interest within the UK itself, it definitely generates even less globally. It really is of no concern or interest to Harry and Meghan. Royal reporters chase them out with their abusive treatment, and no person returns to their abuser unless they have to. Harry and Meghan do not need to return. Ignore the reports that describe the UK as Harry's home. It is a way of influencing people to start to associate life in the USA with his wife and children as something that he can leave behind in order to return home, or another favourite phrase is to heal the family rift, etc., etc. When your own brother works with a tabloid to provide evidence in a court case against a member of the same royal family who you are married to, don't expect the Sussexes to come running to the UK for anything but the odd, important family occasion. After the treatment and reaction to the birth of both Sussex children, do not expect to see the Sussex children on UK soil for many years to come. When royal reporters mention the children coming for the Jubilee this year, don't be fooled. They are looking for circus exhibits for photos that they can use until the next decade when the children appear in the UK. The cruelty and disrespect shown to those babies is beyond vile, and the UK cannot pick and choose when they need their token subjects for a photo opportunity or two. They can go kick rocks. Harry and Meghan will never allow their children to be used in that way. The Invictus Games are coming up, and there is an overlap with the Jubilee celebrations. I know what I will be watching, and it won't be Jubilee celebrations, and most of the global audience will not be watching either. So let the British royal family have their balcony photo opportunities with the all-white family that they consider represents the British royal monarchy. Meghan nearly died as a result of her treatment within that family and its media partners. So if Meghan ever sets foot in the UK again, it will be to support Harry or to support her patronages. UK tabloid media is a case study in misinformation and disinformation. Be aware of both. But better still, do what I do. Read archived versions of articles and ensure that the said publications do not earn from your perusal at their poison. I stopped reading all tabloid media early in 2017 after I saw the seeds being sown of abusive and racist rhetoric being badly disguised as something else. One QC reported over 2 years ago that royal reporters were using undertones of racism in their articles. And straight out of the gate, one of the regular authors of such content admitted that there were indeed undertones of racism, but that the QC, which stands for Queen's Counsel by the way, should know that undertones are not against the law. This is a royal reporter saying these things, saying it to a QC who knows the law. This is the state of UK tabloids who have their unwritten contract with the UK royal family and the style of their rhetoric. They stay just outside, or just inside, I should say, the law, but admit that they do write with undertones of racism. In the past, they were able to do so without challenge, but now the Sussexes have shown You can escape from the confines of monarchy. You do not have to stay simply because you were brought into the world to serve and to adhere to rules that you had no say in composition. You can go out and seek your own employment and live and pay taxes. The British royal family and its media never expected Sussex Squad to arrive on the scene. A global network spanning many countries. We are not a fan base, but a support network, and we are never going away. A network of people who span many professions, including legal. So never underestimate any squad member in any country. We have a lifetime membership, and between us and our various time zones, we provide support for the Sussexes and their endeavours 24/7. The year 2022 is going to be an even better year than 2021. We are ready for anything. Just before I close this podcast, I would say there are a number of images, slides that I've included in the article. I will put a few of them on the screen during this podcast, but one that I thought was really good in the way it described and portrayed misinformation and the effect of it and why we should take it seriously. It's headed Misinformation Effect, and there are 3 bullet points and an image of 3 people inside an air balloon on the ground in the image, obviously ready for takeoff. And the 3 bullet points say this: it is common to remember things that never happened. Example of this is an experiment by Wade, Gary, Reed and Lindsay in the year 2002. People were shown photographs of themselves in a hot air balloon and asked what they remembered. Most people remembered the experience, but the photos were made using Photoshop. The people had never been in a hot air balloon. I'll leave you with that thought and that image, and you'll see that and many more in the article. And I said I'll include a few on the screen during this podcast. I hope you found that useful. I hope that you have those words at the back of your mind, particularly when you read British press, misinformation and disinformation, and which ones are in play and why and what are they hoping to achieve. So, until I see you next week, bye for now. Bye from Ivy. Bye.